Next event on the track, 2 semifinal heats of the steeplechase. There are the collegiate and meet records, both by Courtney Wayment. 12 athletes in each of these 2 semifinal heats, same like the 1500 meters, in that the first 5 across the finish line will automatically qualify to the final on Saturday, and then the next 2 times on time. So looking for a 12-runner final on Saturday.
Dwight, you mentioned the collegiate record of Courtney Wayment. That was set just last year in the championship, and there are a number of athletes who are a part of that field who are back and competing this season. There you have a list of those competing in Heat 1 of the steeplechase.
This first heat featuring from Oregon State, Grace Feather-Stonehow. She's a senior from British Columbia. Oregon State only has a women's program. Kaylee Mitchell of Oregon State also in this race, so she is currently in the lead. And also Elise Thorner, the junior from New Mexico and from Great Britain.
Elise Thorner among that field last year in that collegiate record-setting race. She was 5th in the steeple last year. This season, 3rd best time among collegians in 2023. That was a 9:39.39, and that stood as the collegiate lead among Division I athletes for the majority of the outdoor season. And when you're looking at the 2 heats of this steeplechase, this is the more manageable heat of the 2 if you're looking to qualify through and being very tactical. And you see we have 2 New Mexico athletes among this field. They're wearing those turquoise jerseys. They save those for the NCAA championships. That's the only time they get to break out the turquoise jerseys. They have a dozen athletes, so calling themselves the Turquoise 12 among the men's and the women's programs representing New Mexico. Also right there along with her from Notre Dame, that is Katie Thronson. Previously competed at Tennessee, enters the NCAA championships with a season best number 7 time among collegians.
So as they take the water jump for the second time, we've got the race pretty well underway. They'll come around with about 5 laps remaining. We'll step aside for a moment. When we come back, we'll show you the conclusion of this first semifinal heat. John, just less than 3 laps remaining now in this steeplechase. A little group of 4 broken away. Elise Thorner, Kaylee Mitchell, Grace Feather-Stonehow, and Angelina Ellis are in that group of 4. 2 of them from Oregon State, 1 from Butler, and 1 from the University of New Mexico.
They've been on a very comfortable pace through this point, 9:48, very manageable for the caliber of athletes that you have in this field. And the 2 Oregon State athletes, Feather-Stonehow and Mitchell, doing a great job of using one another to surround themselves, kind of surround Elise Thorner and the lead that she has had for the majority of this race. Feather-Stonehow, the Pac-12 athlete of the year, track athlete of the year, winning not just the steeple but also the 5,000 at the conference championships. And both Oregon State athletes have been among the top 5 in terms of 2023 season performances entering the NCAA championships, and those 3 have now well separated themselves from Angelina Ellis. And then you also have New Mexico sitting back looking to secure 2 of the top 5 finishes in this heat with Maisie Grace.
2 laps remaining now, this group of 3. Thorner, Mitchell, and Feather-Stonehow have things under control, about 9:50 pace, so certainly within their capability, but it is warm. And the steeplechase water jump probably feels a little better than it normally does in heat like this.
Starting to see those 3 really take command and take charge. They've done a great job of using each other over the entirety of this race, making this qualification pretty manageable for those three, given the times that they have boasted so far this season. Love the teamwork that you've got there up front. That's Angelina Ellis of Butler, the Zionsville, Indiana native, who has just shown incredible improvement in her time as a Bulldog. Pretty critical water jump here. This is when the fatigue is heavily setting in at this point.
It's not efficient to land with 2 feet in the water jump. You lose a lot of momentum. And this event is technical. How to take these barriers as you're getting more tired. How to take that water jump 7 times as the fatigue sets in. That's the real challenge of this steeplechase event. As they come, and they're going to get the bell. Still the same 3 up front. Thorner, Mitchell, Stonehoff, then Ellis, and then Macy Grace trying to sneak into that top 5 automatic qualifiers. Then you have 2 New Mexico and 2 Oregon State in the top 5. Good scoring opportunities for both teams.
And this is incredibly advantageous for their hopes in the final because of how easily they've been able to manage the course of this race and how conservatively they have been able to run. As you see on the backstretch, Oregon State starting to make a move. Mitchell gonna quicken things up in anticipation of that final water jump, brings her teammate right there along with her. But now we have a really interesting fight for those 4th and 5th positions to automatically qualify, because Dwight, it's unlikely you're gonna get a time qualifier out of this heat with as slow as it went early on.
And I'm sure those athletes that are fighting for those final spots realize that, and how you take this water jump is going to have a lot to say about it.
Angelina Ellis responded really well out of that last water jump. She's in 4th, but here is a charge coming. Looks like Macy Grace is back. They're going to put herself in the fight as New Mexico looks to advance to, Oregon State looks to advance to.
Comes Grace. There are 3 people fighting for 2 spots. And it looks like Macy Grace of University of New Mexico was one of those top 5. It was very close, blanket finish, maybe because she was closest to us. It made it look like she got through. We're waiting for the official result. It was Mitchell winning the heat over Thorner and then Stonehoff, then Angelina Ellis. And now they're adjudicating that 5th place. It was Grace of University of New Mexico. She got the 5th and final automatic qualifying position. And let's see by how much. By 1/100th of a second. Watch how close this is between 4th or 5th, 6th, and 7th. Let me correct myself again. 4th, 5th, and 6th. Those 3 right there are fighting for 2 spots.
Grace does a great job. She bounded out of the water jump, and that was really what projected a bold finish to the line, charging there to capture that critical place.
Callie Doan, who is in the middle of that pack of 3, was the odd one out. She got 6th. Unless they really underperform in the 2nd semifinal, only the top 5 are going to advance from this 1st semifinal heat. So 2 Lobos and 2 Beavers into the final. They'll have 4 of the 12 spots in Saturday's final. All right, they're getting ready for the 2nd semifinal heat.
And this heat is absolutely loaded. Leading the conversation, Greta Karunaskaita of California Baptist, who ran 9:26.88 at the NCAA West Regional Meet, a PR by nearly 10 seconds. So we also have Kaylee DeLay of Washington in this field, the NCAA runner-up last year. Also have last year's 3rd place finisher, Kaylee McCabe of West Virginia. So 2 of the top 3 from last year's championship in this qualifying heat.
For those unfamiliar, California Baptist is in Riverside, California.
As we're taking a moment to look across the field, and that is Greta Karunaskite in the middle of that pack wearing hip number 8. In talking with her coach, Adam Tribble, he said that they really weren't necessarily concerned about time at the NCAA West Regional. They were just worried about racing and positioning. But when she was running so well, they realized that by the end of the race, she was in position to get a world championship mark. So she's aiming to represent Lithuania at the World Championships. So she really threw the hammer down, really dug deep to get that mark, which then became the NCAA Division I leading mark from that regional meet.
So already you can see that the pace has quickened substantially over heat number 1, semifinal number 1, I should say.
And among those who are leading right now, that is Olivia Marquezich of Notre Dame, who is really coming into form at the right time, beginning to display that championship form we saw indoors when she was the runner-up in the 3000 to NC State's Caitlin Tui. And Karunaskite is going to make this pretty honest. She's getting there aggressively right up front and avoiding trouble, really smart, because of how you have to navigate the barriers, navigate the water jump. So she's going to settle in right there in that first position. And there is Kaylee McCabe, who bolts out there into lane 2 to try to get herself well positioned. McCabe, an incredibly talented steepler. She was the 2022 Canadian National Champion and was in the thick of it last year at the NCAA Championships. A really strong racer, incredible steeplechase athlete, and right now comfortably positioned within that top 4. One interesting thing too, as we talk about CBU and their program with Greta Karunaskite, the cross-country season, Coach Tribble said, was a struggle for her, but she benefited greatly from a really big winter build because they don't have an indoor track season. So she wasn't worried about racing indoor track in January and February. Instead, dedicated all of that time to just building her base, building her strength, till we saw a huge payoff for her coming into these NCAA Outdoor Championships.
All right, at the end of this home stretch, they will have 5 laps remaining. We're going to step aside. Pace that's established. We will bring you the conclusion when we return to Austin. All right, thank you for that tip, John. Back to the steeplechase with 2.5 laps remaining. Karunaskite of California Baptist is still in the lead. The pace is about 12 seconds faster than the first semifinal heat. That's why we've been mentioning that all the time qualifiers, or both the time qualifiers, we should say, will come from this heat. Karunaskite in the lead over Marquezich of Notre Dame, then Lexi Halliday-Lowry of BYU, Kaylee Daly of Washington, and Celie McCabe. Those are your top 5 right now, and you can see them right there. If they finish right there, they're automatic qualifiers. And the 6th and 7th placers should be aware of what happened in heat number 1 and make certain that they stay close enough that their time gets them through.
And they've slowed a bit. They were on 9:30 pace just a bit earlier. It's now 9:39 pace. And as you're seeing Olivia Marquezich there in the 2nd position, she is part of a very strong steeplechase group that Matt Sparks has built at Notre Dame. She led a 1-2-3 Notre Dame sweep of the steeplechase at the ACC Championships. And then sitting in 3rd, Lexi Halliday-Lowry of BYU, of course, greatly benefited from having trained previously with Courtney Wayment. And Diljit Taylor said that Courtney Wayment, the season that she had, setting that collegiate record in the steeple en route to NCAA championship really opened her eyes to what she could accomplish, and Lexi is running with incredible confidence at this point. This top five is looking really comfortable. They can stay exactly as they are and get all of that group through.
The bubble time is 9:58:30. So a lot of breathing room for those 6th and 7th place. The fastest semifinal ever run was last year by Courtney Wayman. She ran 9:32 and change. No need for these athletes to run a time like that. They're pretty comfortably in positions to automatically qualify as they're coming up to get the bell.
Karina Skytech just so effortlessly navigates the barriers, and Adam Tribble said she is just not afraid. She runs so fearlessly.
In the women's race, the barriers and the water jump are 30 inches high. In the men's race, the barriers and water jump are 36 inches high.
And Karina Skyda has not wavered at all in the form that she is finding over those barriers. Marquezich has responded incredibly well. Every time Karina Skyda has thrown down a bit of a surge, Marquezich has responded immediately, hung right in there with her, and Lexi Halliday-Laurie looks very comfortable as well.
So now this group is closer to 3 than the 5 that they did have, but that group still has 8 seconds on the field, so comfortably up front. They take the water jump very well, not much of a loss of momentum for those top 3. Steeplechase has only been an event at the NCAA level for about 20 years. First steeplechase at the Olympic level was in 2008 in Beijing. So there are your first 3 across the line. Marquezich, Karina Skyta, and Halliday-Laurie. Celia McCabe, Kaylee DeLay. We'll step aside very quickly. We'll adjudicate who will be advancing to the finals. And when we return to Austin, it's the 100-meter hurdle semifinals.